The class is in memory of Jared Orchen. You know, sometimes when we start to think about our relationship, when it went so, when things do, what was the turning point? Friendships, marriages, and things like this, nations. What was the turning point? In the Parsha of this week, we have a turning point. The first half of the Parsha is beautiful. They continue to talk about the inauguration of the temple. Then they speak about the second Passover that the Jewish people did, the first Pesach in the desert. It was a year after they left Egypt. The first Pesach they did in the desert, it was a lot of excitement. The Passover lamb. And then there were a group of Jews who did not have a chance to do the Passover lamb because they were impure. And they came to Moses and complained why we should be losing out. And Moses was like dumbfounded. What kind of a question is that? Why we lose out? If you didn't fast Yom Kippur for whatever reason, when you're going to come to the rabbi and say, I want to do it next week, you didn't do it, it's over. They came and asked to do something, a Passover, later. He turned to God, God told him, yes, there is another second chance. It's never too late. Amazing. After that, we read about the traveling, how the Jews used to travel in the desert by the clouds of glory. If the clouds moved, the Jews moved with them. If the clouds landed, the Jews know that this is the place to camp. They put together the whole temple, put together their own tents. Some places they were camping for 18 years in one place, and another place was overnight. Can you imagine? They put the whole temple together, they put their own tent, they're sitting down to take a coffee. Somebody runs and says, the cloud is moving. But it's going by God, not by them. They don't decide when to move. God is giving the direction. God is doing everything. It's amazing. Then we read about Moses is turning to his father-in-law, Jethro, and he tells them, we are going to the land of Israel. God spoke good about Israel. At that point, they were about to leave within 11 days to be in the land of Israel. They were going to Israel. They were finally moving from Mount Sinai. They were at Mount Sinai almost a year. Nobody wanted to move. It was comfortable. It was good. Manna next to God, Mount Sinai. Moses teaches them Torah. Life was very good. It's like you sent your child is in your house, and one day you tell them, boy, you better rent an apartment. That's what God told the Jewish people. No? And Moses turns to his father-in-law and he tells them, God is maybe want to join us. He says, no, I'm going back home. I want to convert my family. And then it's written a line that we say every time when we open the ark. Vayi binso Aaron vayomer Moshe. And when the ark used to travel, Moses said, let God destroy all the enemies of the Jewish people, basically. And the next line, it's like you're coming from a different reality, from a different universe. Vayi ha'am kimitonenim. The Jewish people complained. There is one complaint, then they complain that they are sick and tired of the manna, they miss the meat that they used to eat in Egypt, the fish that they used to eat in Egypt, they want meat, manna, it's boring manna, it's boring, we need some excitement in life, we need meat, they wanted steaks, and from this point it's getting only like this. And Moses complains to God, he says, God, I can't take it anymore, what I gave birth to the Jewish people, why you punish me with the Jews, why I have to be the leader, I can take it, I need helpers, God offers them helpers, and from this it's only going worse. Then the next week's parsha is about the spies, right? The spies sent Shlach, the spies, Moses sent 12 spies to the land of Israel, and they came back and they said it's not a good land, it's scary to go there. And God punished them. God said, okay, you don't want to go to the land of Israel? Stay here. And then there we got the decree to stay 40 years in the desert. It was next parsha, all year. Then it's the story of Korach. It just gets worse and worse and worse. What happened? It was such an optimistic beginning of the Parsha. Everything was so amazing at Mount Sinai. And they all were excited, going to Israel. They were buying new suits, moving the Peklach, organizing and buying new suitcases, and planning the itinerary. We're going there, we're going to Masada, then we'll go to the Dead Sea, then we'll go to Eilat. And in 1 minute, everything changed. What happened? I remember once somebody wrote a commentary, I don't know from where he took it, but it's very interesting. Moses turned to his father-in-law and he told them, join us. We are going to Israel. God has spoken good about the Jewish people. We will take care of you. Come with us. And Jethro said, I'm going home. No, the Jews are sitting in the back and they said to themselves, if Jethro, if the land is the land flowing with milk and honey, as Moses tells us from day one, from the days of Egypt, and it's going to be an amazing place and an amazing journey, why is Jethro not joining the crowd? What does he know? What Jethro knows that we don't? Obviously, it's not so simple. And the moment Jethro said, I'm not going, all the doubt began. They started to complain, and another complaint, and another complaint, and finally came out the truth. We don't want to go to Israel. Took a few complaints, but eventually it came out. It's like people start to complain about hey, then they complain, see, then finally comes out the real truth why complaining. Because he put the doubt. Where we see such a story, we learn that from the story of the Amalekites. When the Jewish people left Egypt, the whole world, it was after the splitting of the sea, the world was shocked by the miracles that the Jewish people had. Came Amalek and waged a war against Israel. Fine. He lost the war. He fought them, Moses and Joshua with an army. They beat them up. But you know what happened? Fighting Israel was not such an absolute no. Well, we can do it. The Amalekites put a doubt in the mind and hearts of people. It's not so bad. Why this doubt came? Because it was a doubt within the Jewish people. The Jewish people doubted. Before the story of Amalek, it's written that the Jewish people were doubting if God is among them. Ayesh Hashem bekirbeinu, is God among us? The next line is the war of the Amalekites. The doubts, that's the problem. And you start to say, maybe not. A group of people comes together. Let's volunteer. Let's start this campaign. Let's build the synagogue. Let's help Mr. Joe is in bad trouble. And everybody is excited. And then somebody comes up and he says, you know what? I don't think he's so poor. I don't think we need a synagogue so badly. When I came to Solon, there was a councilman who told me, we talked to him about building a synagogue. He told me there's no need for a synagogue in Solon. The mayor actually told me a while later, at that time, 28 years ago almost, told me, what's wrong with the Jews in this community? Why they don't build a synagogue? He was not Jewish. The Jew told me, we need a synagogue somewhere. Synagogues all over, we need a synagogue. My luck was, it came out with a book not long ago. It's called Plan B. Somebody wrote a book, a very famous person wrote a book. It's called Plan B. When there is Plan B, Plan A doesn't work out. When there is no Plan B, Plan A works out. I did not have Plan B. I wanted to go to my father's business. That was it. I came here. The Rabbi gave me a blessing, and is a approval for me to come to Solon. And we're going to make it by hook or by crook. And that's That's what the problem is. When we start to say, oh, maybe something is a problem. If the Jews would have the faith that if Moses takes them, let's go, won't be any problem. They would enter the land of Israel, it would be easy. Just like the splitting of the sea. Right before the splitting of the sea, it's written, and the Jewish people, Vayaminu ba'Hashem uve Moshe avdo. They believed in Moses, in God, and in Moses his servant. If they would have the same faith, wouldn't be questions. The moment it started to be, oh, maybe no, that was over. And if anybody wants to be successful in something, he has to set his mind on it, go, and Hashem will help you. The moment you start to question, you say, oh, maybe it's not. If you are not sure, you want that to be sure. You have to be sure about it. And that's what Judaism, that's what means learning Torah gives us. The clarity, the surety that this is it. There's no two ways about it. There's no maybe, this is an opinion, then we have another opinion, then there's a third way to look at it. There's no third way to look at it. There is one way to look at it. There is Jews, there is the Torah, there is the Torah's way to look at it, and this is it, and with this go. These people survived throughout history. That's why we are sitting around the table, is because our parents and grandparents did not have a plan B. They knew there is plan A to be Jewish, there is no plan B. No way to run away from it, no way to change it, no way to look for another way of life. There is only plan A. That's what made it.